So for the case study I wanted to talk about today, it's all about Matchroom Boxing. So a major global boxing promoter, arguably look after some of the biggest fighters in the world, Anthony Joshua. And there was a fundamental shift this week to do with how they wanted to do their business and operate their business in a way that they've moved away from Sky Sports and actually moving towards DAZN. So what is the terms of the deal? Basically, you're looking at a 5-year deal where they've got rid of Sky Sports and they've brought in DAZN. They've got complete control now on the supply chain, and I'm going to talk about why from a business strategy point of view that's actually quite impressive and quite important. But what they've also done is diversify their business, and Eddie Hearn, love him or hate him, has diversified his business into new areas, which actually is relevant to him. It gives them more control and also give them more profit in a few different things. They have complete control of the production, so they now don't have to worry about Sky Sports and what they're going to do and their prices and that kind of thing. And actually, the new offer starts at just $1.99 a month, which if you're a Sky Sports subscriber, that's not cheap. And it's one of the things that I wanted to kind of talk about. But what was quite interesting, I'm just going to get my pens, is that in the course when we talk about business strategy and diversification, I'll just get the page up for you. So now we've recently done this in some of the modules on strategy. Thank you for the comments, and I'm sorry about the, the comments weren't coming up, but they have now. There we go. So it's page 52 in the course. And what we talk about is how to diversify your business with a reduced chance of risk. So what we do, so this is called an and-soft growth matrix, which don't worry too much about what that means. Then you have the market, and then I'll do product here, or service. And then you have existing, new. So what's interesting in terms of the Matchroom Boxing example is that their existing product was boxing and fight promotion. And with that, I guess they do TV deals where they get paid, but they also will do ticket sales, etc. So with Eddie Hearn, with his company, he then has the decision, I need a table, which I'll just put there, I think it'll make it easier, on when he's looking to grow his business and actually diversify his business, which is the crucial thing. One of the things that we talk about in the course is why it's important to only do one jump, not two. So for instance, one. So you have your core offer, which could be boxing. In Matthew Ward's example, it could be logistics or packaging. Actually, that's a good example where you have a logistics company that then diversifies one jump into an adjacent market, which is packaging. But anyway, in Eddie Hearn's case, he has boxing and TV rights. And what he's done in terms of this deal is move away from a major controlling stake or partner in terms of Sky Sports that would have had a lot of weight and control on distribution and fees and stuff. And if you do one jump, so he takes his core market and then jumps into an extra step, which is, in this case, when they launched Matchroom Media, which he announced in the press release yesterday, that is one jump. So they're sticking to their core market of boxing and then diversifying one jump into media, but particular boxing media. So in terms of for Matchroom events or Matchroom group, or whatever they're called about, they've only made one jump into a new, I've done it the wrong way around. That actually should be there. It's into a new market where they've got their core product, which they understand the fight game, etc. So they've then launched this new service, I guess, to actually control the whole supply chain. The mistake would be is if you do two jumps, not one. So one is you keep one core existing fundamental of knowledge or market or sector. So I'm going to use LV Shipping as an example. I'm going to guess that they started in the northeast of England and they built this great logistics business. Then they can take that core skill set, the known, which is the logistics part of the business, and then grow internationally, which is something that they've done very well. And then as the business has grown, once they've made that stable, they've then actually diversified into LV Wallenbeck, and they do packaging and stuff. But they've then done, in terms of the market, they went from UK to global, doing the same thing. And then once that was secure and existing and they knew what they were doing, they then moved into packaging. The mistake would be, and a lot of companies kind of make this, is that if you have a business, and I'm going to use Denise as an example. So Denise runs a machine shop out of the Northeast, very good, make a lot of stuff, quick turnaround, kind of manual machines, and it's to make generally physical components, which they use on CNC or milling kind of machines. If they were to launch a new product or service to then make other stuff using the same skill set, that would be one jump. And then if they wanted to start to export to Japan, that would be a second jump. So the first jump would be the new product or service, which is to do a new offer for clients. But then if at the same time, they also tried to go to a new market, which was to learn the Japanese market and how to sell into that. Basically, whenever you've got two unknowns, so one jump is one unknown, where you have a relatively low amount of risk because actually you kind of know what you're doing and you're just making one jump. But if you do two jumps, which would be to try and enter a new market and a new product at the same time. So it could be the equivalent of, there was talk for a long time that Apple were going to launch a car. So if they just, if they just launched the car, that would actually still be just a new product or service offer. And they are global. So if they also tried to go to Mars at the same time, that would be too much of a stretch. That actually, because of the unknowns and the difficulties in doing that, basically the risk just exponentially grows. So if you can, you always want to try and do one jump, not two. And the reason just why I thought that this case study was really interesting, because it gives Matchroom and DAZN, or DAZN, it's hard to say, basically more control end to end. They get to move the risk. There we go. Move the risk away from a dominant player, which could be Sky Sports or whoever. Just basically, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes when they're negotiating contracts and stuff. Because again, when you talk about distribution, any drug dealers out there will always know that you really want to control your own distribution. You kind of learn that in DMX songs. But anyway, but what they've really done is end to end, look at a new way to actually provide their product to market. Arguably, it's cheaper. It's also a cultural shift. So in the course, we talk about something called a pestle analysis, which we actually cover in the marketing module. And that's when you have political, economic, social, technological, or legal changes in the world. And actually in the past year with live streaming and stuff, people are now very comfortable to consume content on their phone and they're happy to pay for it, which is probably a cultural shift. So what Matchroom have actually done is jump onto that trend at the right time, which hopefully is quite cool. I guarantee they'll be making more profit, and that's why they're doing it. He is a businessman at the end of the day. And then likewise, you'd also be interested to see if this trickles through to more profit for fighters as well. But what I was trying to do is I just thought it was a really interesting move that when you have a business, which is obviously very good, and you represent some of the biggest fighters in the world, and actually something I wanted to touch on as well, people often miss as well. With boxing, yes, you actually get the big names, the Tyson Furys, the Joshuas, the Wilders, etc. But there is a whole stable of fighters coming through that have been around for a long time. And it's this pipeline that Matchroom also own the rights to and actually look after right from people starting their career all the way through. And it's a great example of how you can grow a business, how you diversify it. You have the physical events, you have the streaming, you have the TV revenue, you have the fight purse, you have the management fees, you have the media company. It's a really clever business model. And actually, Eddie Hearn, love him or hate him, he's actually quite good at what he does. So that kind of overran slightly from what I planned to do, but never mind. But no, thank you, Matthew, for the comments and stuff. And it's just, yeah, hopefully this is kind of interesting. I'd still love to know if anyone tunes in where you're from in the world and just say hello and, almost give your business a bit of a plug.